Starting is what leads to starting. The beginning of everything is dangerous. But regardless, if you don't start, nothing will ever begin. Start with knowing yourself. Don't live your life by hiding or lying to yourself. Always be honest about who you are, what kind of person you are, what your tendencies, thought processes, and reactions are. If you don't know yourself well, you won't be able to experience love for what it truly is. To love and be loved, start by knowing yourself. It's impossible to know someone else when you don't even know yourself. Make history every day. We often think of history as something distant and disconnected from ourselves, like old books sitting neatly on library shelves. But each and every one of us has our own history, and that's the history we make every day. It's the story of how we behave, what we do, and how we live our lives each and every day. Will we be able to end the day without fear or haste? Will we lazily waste the day or bravely take on challenges? Will we think of better ways to do things than we did yesterday? Each of these attitudes shapes our personal history, page by page. Strip away your flaws and live on. Just like a snake that sheds its skin, if you don't shed your old ways of thinking, you'll eventually wither away and die. If you stay trapped in your old ways of thinking, your growth will come to a halt, and you'll start to rot from the inside out until you die. To always live anew, we must continuously renew our way of thinking. Fear leads to defeat. When we think there is no way forward, even if there is a path to be explored, it suddenly disappears from our sight. When we think it's too dangerous, safe places disappear. When we believe this is the end, we step towards the entrance of the apocalypse. When we think, what should I do? We can't find the best solution that suddenly appears. In conclusion, if we are afraid, we will be defeated. It is not because our opponent is too strong, or we are in a difficult situation that we have never experienced before, or the conditions for a comeback are not met. When we have fear in our hearts and become frightened, we choose the path of ruin and defeat ourselves. The reason why you feel bored is because you have stopped growing. The more difficult it is to obtain something, the more desperately you want it. However, once you have it and some time has passed, it begins to feel like something useless. This applies to objects and humans alike. You get bored because you have become familiar with what you have obtained. But in reality, you are bored with yourself. You get tired of it because the thing you obtained has not changed within you. In other words, you lose interest because your own feelings towards the object have not changed. Ultimately, those who do not continue to grow are more likely to get bored easily. On the other hand, those who constantly strive for personal growth and change do not feel bored at all, even if they have the same things. A person who has a willingness to learn does not feel boredom. A person who learns, accumulates knowledge, and broadens that knowledge into culture and wisdom does not feel bored. Everything becomes more interesting than before. Even if they see the same thing as others, they find simple clues or insights and discover something to fill the gap in their thinking. Eventually, their days are filled with the fun of solving puzzles and acquiring knowledge, and they are filled with meaningful abundance. To them, the world is an endlessly fascinating subject of exploration, like a botanist in the jungle. Every day is full of discovery and exploration, so there is no room for boredom. The content introduced so far is partially taken from Nietzsche's words. Nietzsche's writing is short and concise, but its impact lasts long, and it gives us the strength to face trials and hardships with fortitude and positivity. We live our lives, spending each day moderately, without knowing which values we should prioritize and living by conforming to others or old customs to find and obey those values. To us, Nietzsche says, do not cling to old customs or stay in the present, but constantly strive towards your own goals. Nietzsche emphasized the importance of continuous change through the free spirit, self-conquest, and the process itself. When we strive to constantly overcome ourselves and move towards our goals, we can meet our true selves and create our own new values. In other words, Nietzsche emphasized not being bound by existing values, authority, or others' evaluations and perceptions, but creating our own world through our own efforts. However, how painful and lonely would this process be? Therefore, Nietzsche says that the pain that cannot kill me only makes me stronger. Nietzsche saw the will to self-conquest as the essence of life and believed that striving towards higher goals constantly is never in vain. A snake that cannot shed its skin will eventually die. We, too, must shed the husk of old values and not fail to develop and change ourselves.